Here we go.
I think it's recording. It's happening.
We did it. We did
Technology
it.
down.
Did it. We're tech savvy.
Well, hello. How are you?
Hello. It's so great to see you.
You too. Yeah, you look fabulous. I wish our audience could revel in her gorgeousness and her
I
gothic
really
beauty
do
over
look
there.
spectacular this evening,
Mhm.
guys. I dressed
Really?
up. I got the lace. I got the tartan.
Yes, well, listen, we put pants on, so you're welcome.
Yeah, pants. We're definitely in a pants optional sort of phase of things. I changed out of the sweatpants I've been wearing for 3 days straight to be
Yes.
today. Just because,
Yes.
not that you can smell me. There's no smell of it.
Right.
Gratefully for your audience. But
Right.
yeah, I just wanted to spare you on that.
At home, everyone's a Winnie the Pooh.
It's true. Well, do you want to introduce yourself for our audience who do not know you?
Sure. I'm Kaz Winness, and sometimes I'm known as Kaz Weirdness. And I'm an author illustrator. I'm an illustration instructor. And what else? I'm a mom. I'm super into bats and spooky stuff and gothy weirdness. And I have some published books, Mother Goth Rhymes we were talking about. And I have a new book coming out. It is on a slight delay because of the whole coronavirus thing. It's called If You're Stabby, and it's about a cantankerous unicorn. He's not full of sunshine and rainbows. He's likely to stab you. And I just was able to announce that I have a picture book coming out with Simon Schuster in 2022 called Swim Jim, about a little crocodile, a baby crocodile who is afraid of the water. So
That's amazing.
I just love her so much. It's ridiculous. Okay, can I share the story of how we met?
I love you.
I don't even-
Yes, you
I
can.
don't even know if you remember. So we were both part of the Society of Children's Book. Let's see, Children Writers, SCBWI,
Society of
Children's Book Writers and
Illustrators.
Illustrators.
Yeah,
There you go,
right.
SCBWI. So we went to the LA conference a few years ago, and I walked into a room, and our friend Bitsy said, "There's someone you have to meet." And I was like, oh, okay. We weren't drinking yet, so I thought that was odd.
Not yet.
And we were in the middle of this like pre-thing because we were all faculty. And so we were in the middle of like this pre-thing, and stands up this like redhead, like way down there. And she turns around and looks at me, and I'm like, uh-oh, is that, I'm supposed to know that person. And Bitsy goes, "That's who I'm talking about." And no joke, Kaz comes beelining it straight to me, and she goes, "I need to talk to you."
Whoa.
And from that point on, you don't remember that? Oh yeah. From that point on, then like 3 bottles of champagne later and lots of
Oh yes.
craziness. I remember like a chocolate pyramid that we ate. I don't remember.
That does not surprise me. That was probably after the second bottle of champagne. So who knows what happened after that?
I don't. And yeah, then we did a ghost walk because she's a medium also. And since I'm hypersensitive, like we did this like ghost walk, and I've never felt more normal in my life.
Is it called the Broadmoor?
The Biltmore, the Millennium Biltmore in Los Angeles.
Haunted, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I got to take him to it actually. One of the like first couple months when we were dating, and I'm like, "You have no idea." And I was showing him some stuff. I'm like, "We walked through this, and there's a female and a male spirit down here," and like, I geeked out pretty hard. So he knew about you. He knew about you.
Talk to the check-in staff. They're like, "Oh, I don't really believe in that stuff, but the stories I hear make me a believer because place is old and super cool, and there was crazy experiences going on that whole entire weekend." And I loved it. It was
Remember my shower turned on at like 1:00 in the morning.
Right, and some spirit dude in your shower, just like, "You know what you need? You need some water right now, and you need to be freaked out. You're welcome." And you were like,
the shower door was like solid steel though. That's what was bizarre. It's not like anyone could have like snuck in there, and it was hard for me to open. So anyway, it was a great moment because she's incredibly talented.
Thank you.
And
I enjoyed her book. I know that.
yeah. So I pre-ordered her book the day I could get it. And then was it the hurricane that when we had just moved here, like the hurricane had made it get here a week after everyone else was getting it.
Yeah, there was a delay.
Yeah, and I was so mad. But the moment I got it, I was like, I couldn't put it down. It's the best picture book. Like it's all your basic like nursery rhymes, but she put a gothic and like horrible spin on a lot of things, like deathly spin that is just so amazing.
Yeah, I think there's only one page where someone doesn't get it, either hasn't just got it or is going to get it soon. And that's son, go away. No one likes you anyway. And that's the only poem where someone doesn't die. So after I edited it, I was like, I'm kind of sad.
That's so great.
Funny, I promise. It's a fun book.
There was sunshine in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a little sunshine in there.
Yeah. She inspires me. And then her Stabby, the unicorn, I'm so excited about. So it's going to be, see, she's got a little plush. I want a t-shirt. So I need to get onto those because man. Well, we have questions for you. I know that you're not used to being the interviewee. So this should be
better. I'm excited. And
are you?
Well, I'm nervous too, but I'm excited.
Well, our podcast, at this point, our audience is kind of used to it. What we do is we just talk to creatives about how they handle the ins and outs of their lives. And you're actually the first one who is not a musician that we've had on the show.
Oh, cool! Very cool.
Yeah. So it's for me, it's my geek out moment.
Yeah, you're also the first person that's coming out that isn't in like from my world. So,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And everyone's gonna know that I am weird and exist.
Yay! Well, I'm here to represent.
I live too.
Yeah.
Artists in the house.
So I should tell you though that she has now gone viral for 2 of her pictures, at least 2, right?
2, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got reactions on things before, but the one's about ready to tip 100,000 reactions, and then there's like 27,000 shares, and I have no idea where all those shares went to. So, yeah, it's interesting times. I'm pretty good at getting famous for stuff that I don't need or want to be famous for.
The first one, she goes to thrift stores. She's like the queen of thrifting. And she has, I mean, you live in Colorado, right? And so they have like the epitome of thrift stores, like all the weird stuff lands there. And it's amazing. But the first one, she's in like this peacock, like almost not fluorescent. I wouldn't call it that.
It is iridescent,
reflective,
sparkly sequin, rainbow onesie situation. It's yeah, I saw it and I had a moment. I'm not gonna lie, I peed myself a little bit, and that came home with me. And I had I'm like, Maxters, please take a picture of me, poor kid. But he takes photos, and I was just like, check me out in this suit, and post online, and it like instantly, boom, just
went bananas.
Yeah, you were showing me that earlier. Actually.
Yeah. And then the second one, now she has made a mask of a baby doll head. Oh, that one right there.
There it is.
He's hanging on my wall. Yeah, it was just a joke. Someone gave me the crap about, not wearing a mask or to wear a mask. I'm like, I am being way safe and you can back off. And so, my response to that kind of stuff is usually, I don't know,
sarcasm?
It's vindictive.
Sarcasm, vindictive.
Yeah,
works.
So I cut off a baby doll face. And I put a little elastic band on and I turned it into a face mask. So that's the one that it's about ready to tip into 100,000 reactions on it. But yeah, these are the quality items that I provide to the internet free of cost.
Brighten people's days. That's just what you do. It's fantastic. Well, all right. So I guess we'll just go ahead and dive in. So we already established you're an author illustrator. And we kind of mentioned that, would you call yourself clairvoyant? Would you call yourself a medium?
I'm big time clairvoyant. So what that means is, we talk about psychic ability. How I receive most of my information is through visual imagery that basically appears inside my head, or I can see with my eyes, but see things in the physical realm, but mostly I'll see symbols and imagery that appears in my head, and then I have to interpret it, kind of like a really terrible game of charades. But now I've worked with spirit long enough that I have kind of a vocabulary that I'm like, oh, when they show me this, it means that. So if they show me a big red apple, I've come to learn that means New York City. So it's those kind of symbols, and now I just have vocabulary. But yes, I would say clairvoyant.
Excellent. And now you're doing a YouTube channel, which is very cool. That's cool. Yeah. And let's see, anything else? My gosh, you've lost a bunch of weight in the last year and a half.
I work out. No, I don't work out.
No. but here's the thing. She lost a bunch of weight, and yet she's the waffle queen too.
Oh, I love waffles. Well, I mean, everything in moderation, right? And that's kind of what I've learned with, it's just counting calories and making sure I'm eating lots of vegetables and lots of fruit. And you see me eat waffles all the time, but I'm only eating one. And I don't even like syrup, and I don't like butter. So it's not like people are like, oh my God, how do you add all those carbs? I'm like, it's not as many carbs as you think. Like, not as many calories. You can have waffles, I promise.
Right. Yeah.
We ain't got no maple syrup carbs going on over here.
Right?
Yeah. But she makes butterflies. She makes it art. Of course she does.
Really?
It's just
I play with my food. It doesn't play back, but I play with my food. And and you should too.
Yes. There you go. And that's our quote of the day. All right. So let's see. Did I ask? Okay, so now let's do this. So you do have a husband, and you do have 2 children. You are a boy mom, correct?
I'm a boy mom. I have 2 boys, and you guys have boys as well. Yes.
We have boys. Yes. It's very loud in our house.
Oh yes. Right now.
From the outside looking in, it seems like you're well supported. In what ways does your family encourage your creativity, and in what ways do you wish they'd support you some more?
Oh, those are great questions. Well, my kids are amazing inspirations to me. I've always wanted to do children's book. I'm a child at heart, but now I have these 2, very creative, very funny, very interesting individuals who give me ideas I was up until 2 a.m. This morning because someone had glued googly eyes on a rock, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if that rock comes alive, and what if it's sorcery, and oh my God, this is a book. I need another book. But I have them look at my images. Does this make sense? And they're really they're hardcore. They will tell me their honest opinion about stuff, and then they'll give me suggestions, and I found that to be pretty helpful. And my husband's just always been good. Right now, I said, I need a little bit of quiet. And he's like, got it. We're going to go downstairs. We're going to play. I'll get their pajamas out a little bit early so we can get dressed downstairs. So you can make sure that it's quiet in the room for you to do that interview. And I feel like I support him in the same way. If he needs space or he needs time, then, the thing they don't tell you when you have kids, it's kind of like a tag team thing.
Right.
Since we're both creatives and we have things going on in our lives, it's been like, all right, your turn with the kids, and I need to go do this. And then, you trade off. But now that they're 9 and 11, they're pretty self-sufficient, and they like each other, which is a huge blessing. They love to play with each other. I mean, they still fight, but they'll go be occupied with Legos or Minecraft or whatever it is that they're super into, jumping on the trampoline. And that gives me a lot of time now. That's why I can be more prolific now, is because I actually do have the time and space to do that. Right. Ways in which I wish they would be more supportive. I mean, I feel like they're very supportive of my career and very, very encouraging of my career. I think living with an artist is hard. I think it's, and I feel for them, but I think it's hard to deal with someone that does have kind of, those emotional ups and downs or needs things a particular way. And if we're talking about autism, sometimes if I'm stressed out, I'm going to have more issues with auditory input, or just, it's just anything can set me off. And Sometimes that's just hard for them to deal with. Sometimes they'll just want me to get over it or not make it a big deal. And I don't know a way to make that less of a big deal. So, I kind of have to isolate myself. So I wish they could understand that better. But then again, that's a pretty big task. I mean,
Right.
it is hard living with, as artists are sensitive people, and someone with autism is going to have some special needs that can be difficult to deal with. So I feel that for them.
Sure.
So does your husband work? You said he's a creative as well. What type of creative work does he do?
So I actually met my husband at a Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators conference. I think it was 2002 or 2003. It was here in Colorado, and he came in as a writer. And he sounded like this was his pickup line. It was very cute. He looked at my portfolio and he's like, "Oh, my writing and your illustration would go really good together. Like, we should work on a project together."
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It was smooth. No, actually, I was dating somebody else at the time, and I was like, okay. I mean, but then I read his stuff and it was actually really good. And I'm like, I know there's something else going on here, but you're actually correct about this. And so we would hang out and just talk about, the craft. And, when I broke up, he was like the first person at my door going like, "Let's go out." And we were engaged 3 weeks later. And now we've been married for 14 years this May.
Wow.
So,
Very cool.
Yep.
Does he still write?
He does still write. He's an English teacher. And so, just teaching takes so much energy out of you that he comes home with not as much energy as he'd like to work on his project. But he's a very talented writer. Yeah. So that's what I mean by him being a creative too. So he understands that world, and he understands why I'm so passionate about it.
You see why he supports you the way he does.
Yeah, that's very. I like that. I get that. He is so quick to call me a writer, and I'm like, I haven't written in forever because I just don't have time. It doesn't matter. It even like just a little bit of a scribble on a piece of notepaper. I'm like, okay, I've done it. So I get it. So good for him though. At least he's in the literature world though, getting to be an English teacher.
I mean, he edits my stuff and he makes my work. So I mean, I've written middle grade as well. And you will never find a better at-home editor. And he's brutal. I shouldn't say brutal. He's tough.
Sure.
He's tough. Sure. He's very honest. And sometimes I'll break down and he says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, it's actually really good."
Yeah.
Just jumping right into what you needed to work on.
Right.
But yeah, he's a huge support in that way too.
Wow. That's,
and
I think he's cute. I think you're lucky though. I've met many, in our industry, the spouses either are fully in or they are fully not. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult for those who don't have that kind of support. So do you think that has enabled you to just continue to be yourself because you have the support?
Yeah, I'm having the support at home. Like I always feel like if things feel safe and comfortable in my relationship and my home environment, then I can be way more creative because I'm not putting so much of that like brain energy or emotional energy into like keeping things safe and steady and everybody happy and getting along. And I can just kind of relax, and that allows, a stress brain is not a very good creative brain. So a relaxed brain is going to be able to start to come up with ideas. And also the first thing that attracted me to Steve was we can talk about anything creatively. Like we can explore world politics and ethics and history. And, if I have an idea, he's going to want to, he's there to volley that off at me and make it better and make it bigger. And we do that for each other. I would say, that's a real strength of ours. There are other pieces of communication that I didn't realize. The personal stuff is really hard for us, talking about stuff that's impactful on a personal level, or even like financials, or the stuff that's kind of the brick and mortar of, running a business that is a family. That's tougher for us. But as far as the creative support and the creative things, that's there. That's solid.
Interesting. That's really not, that's rare, right? Like you do understand that isn't very normal, at least what we've experienced.
You would assume that like if people were creatives in the same realm, because like she's a writer, I'm a musician.
Right.
So our realms don't cross a whole lot. But you would think if you were in the same like wheelhouses each other that there be competition constantly.
Competition. Yeah.
Our work is so different, and also we've, interestingly, collaboratively, we work very well together. In fact, working on books together, that's been some of the best, as I look back, some of our best relationship moments, like, because, we just grow each other that way, and we speak the same language, but in a different way, and our skill sets are so different in that, but they're strengths. So we capitalize on the strengths within the same thing. We work very well that way. I don't know if there's like some God you have to pay the opposite equivalent or something. Like I said before, there's other pieces of our communication that I would not brag about. It's not. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. We've been noticing is that either, I mean, we haven't really seen too many opposites attract yet type of situations where I guess our very first interview, we did have, one was a lawyer and one was a musician. And it was really interesting to see how their dynamic worked. And so, but again, like what you said, it's really about when you've been married as long as you guys have, as the other couple had, it's about, the give and the take. And so if you've got that pretty balanced, a lot of things really can really work themselves out.
It's like, my mom visited once and she pointed out, she said, you guys are really good at just like taking care of what needs to be taken care of. Someone will see that the dishwasher needs to be unloaded and they'll unload the dishwasher. It's not like you didn't unload the dishwasher and I don't know what that accent is, but, there is kind of a working relationship where we just see something that needs to be done and we take care of it. And we have that level of commitment and responsibility to our boys and to our family. That's been pretty smooth. I mean, every relationship has hiccups and expectation, unrealistic or unspoken expectations, and you have to work out. But
wow, that's great.
And I would say, I mean, there are differences. I'm definitely more edgy and out there.
He's a little more vanilla. We get it.
He's more conservative, and but in a way that too, like, and he's more outgoing and friendly and free spirited. Like, he'll pick up and go camping, and I need at least a week, maybe two, to make sure I have every detail together. So there is that opposite as well. And when it's working well, we're balancing each other really nicely, and when we're stressed, that can be abrasive.
Yeah. Interesting. It's good that you can recognize it though, because I think half the battle is recognizing it and then acknowledging it and then figuring out what to do at that point. Because that's where a lot of relationships fail, not just romantic relationships, but like, parent to child, adult child to parent, that fails there too. Just the constant inability to just hone in on the need or what you don't need.
I'm recognizing the psychology under it and taking personal responsibility as well, and then offering solutions. Like, and that's just how I work anyway. Like, okay, there's a problem, and I know that there's a great solution here, something that's even better than what I can come up with on my own. And how can we solve this in a way that is a positive outcome for everyone involved? I approach business that way too. I approach a children's book project that way too. Like, that problem solving, and then it can be fun. Like, oh my God, we never thought of doing that way. And it's exciting. Like, even now it's terrible, but like ordering your groceries on an app and then picking it up.
Yeah.
I love that.
See, it stresses me out. I don't want other people to be in charge of my groceries, but DoorDash me all the wine you want.
Yeah,
right?
Just leave it. You just leave it right there.
They don't even knock on the door anymore. I mean, don't even knock.
Call me. I'm like, I guess this is nice that you're calling me, Megan.
Right.
Who is this?
Thanks for my burritos, Megan.
There's a story all on its own. That's a title right there.
It becomes like we're long lost sisters, and we just met through DoorDash.
Yeah, it works.
Your name is 7-Eleven Megan? That sounds exotic. Is that
Well, you already brought up that you're autistic. So is it okay if we mention that?
Yeah, we can mention that.
Okay. So
go ahead.
oh no. So I didn't know this about you. So is this a new diagnosis or you're just newly open to talking about it?
I think it's been about 2 years. So the thing about female autistics, or it used to be called Asperger's, what I would kind of put myself in that area. It's no longer called that because Nazis suck. And we just don't have a new terminology. So under the umbrella of autism, I didn't know until about 2 or 3 years ago. And the way I found out was I had a good friend who started to talk to me about how she had just been diagnosed. And the things she started to describe and the information she started to, I just had this moment of like, I probably went ghost white. And I'm like, oh my God, this is me. And how did I not know this? So I just dove headlong into figuring out what this was about, what the attributes are. And the thing is, women are greatly underdiagnosed and very often don't find out about it until I'm 45.
Right.
So I was into my 40s already. It's because we display differently. We are very good at masking. We are very good at observing. This is the way my voice should sound, so people think I'm normal. Actually, it doesn't sound very normal, but you get my idea.
I do.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I just thought, oh, I'm psychic or extra sensitive, or I could attribute to it all these other things. But when I got autism, that whole puzzle piece, and plus I hate, autism speaks.
I would love to talk to you about that, but yes, keep going.
But like my whole picture, I should use different terminology. The whole picture of my own life kind of like, woof, oh, okay, big picture. This is why all these things that I struggled with and I continue to like be different than other people, I'm like, oh, this is autism. Yes. And, so I went through a period of like really being upset about it. Like basically revisiting my whole life from that lens and piecing it together, and actually having, some warning about relationships that went badly, or help I didn't get through school because I was having these struggles because of autism, and I had no help. I had no assistance. I had no forgiveness for it either. Whereas, boys are typically more quickly diagnosed because they don't feel as, or society doesn't obligate them to perform in the same way it obligates.
Yeah, they don't have to mask their behavior as much.
Right, exactly. And women are naturally drawn to being more communicative and reaching out and creating relationships, which is one of the key things they look for in autism, is this person able to form relationships. Now, I always had struggles with relationships. I always did, but I was always trying on some level, so it is different, and it was a late diagnosis, and I'm self-diagnosed. I've tried to get traditionally diagnosed, and even my family physician, she said to me when I asked for a referral, she said, I've been talking with you for 10 minutes, and I can already tell you are not autistic. You might have Asperger's, you might be on the spectrum or something, but you're not autistic. She didn't even know enough to know.
Of course not. She's not a specialist.
No. So, it's expensive. It's difficult to get the diagnosis, and I don't need it because I already know.
Right.
If I were to be someone that needed to be in the public eye, specifically about that as an authority on the subject, I might seek diagnosis, or if there was a way I could get more support, like therapeutic support, then I think it's worth seeking a diagnosis. But
if it gives you peace, then that's really all that matters. If it gives you an understanding of how to process and how to seek help in any of the areas you need it, that's what's most important. I don't know if you know, but I've worked with the special needs community for 20 plus years. That's what I do now for a living. And
awesome.
I have a special needs son myself, and the autistic community, a lot of my students have a wide variety of autism, and it's crazy to me that it's such a blanket statement. Oh, they're autistic, and then we move on. well, now wait a second.
Like, what are their
His
special needs?
autism
Yeah.
is 100% different from hers. 100% different from hers, and that's the way it is for my son has epilepsy, and so
Right.
it's the way it is for him. Completely different. They were ready to just diagnose him with ADHD and move on.
Right.
Well, now,
Can you imagine if they lumped all epilepsy into one, like,
you
epilepsy,
can't.
so we give
Well, they try.
this Band-Aid for epilepsy. Like, no, this is
right.
His epilepsy is going to be vastly different than someone else's epilepsy.
Yep. I have to constantly tell people that no two people walking on this earth in the future, now or before, have ever had the same epilepsy. Nobody has the same seizure. They're all snowflakes. It's what it's like being a snowflake. And I don't mean that in the term we use now.
But we have to put so many asterisks next to these words because
this is where we're at now.
Everything's taken over.
Yes, but I feel the same way, and I've always felt the same way. People have kind of said that Asperger's is the autism light. I have heard that. I've heard a doctor say that, Kaz, a doctor. Exactly. I mean, I just, for me personally, I don't have any of those issues. I'm an INFJ. I'm very sensitive. I've got a lot of the things.
INFJ too.
I know, of course you are. But I have a lot of those boxes to check off. But that I would never sit there and say, well, this is me. And no. Like, people deal with these things. It's not a bandwagon to jump on. And so, I
do recognize that, I'm self-sufficient, and I do take, there are a lot of things that other autistics have to deal with that I don't have to deal with. For me, having the invisibility piece of that is hard because people have these high expectations of me functioning like a normal adult, and I can't always do that. And I look pretty good, back here in my office, but you see me have a meltdown in a grocery store. It's not cute.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not cute,
She was very vulnerable. I think I showed you the video. You were very vulnerable just a couple days ago when you were having a very hard day. And to me, I sat there, it took all the air out of my lungs. And, because I get it, you were having a moment. And I think if more people were honest, and this is part of what we're doing here as part of this podcast, is allowing people to be themselves. We mask ourselves so often with every fake person we're trying to be, whether it's mainly online or, you look at anybody's Instagram. Do you ever see sad stories? Do you ever see the dirty work? No, you don't, know, and you don't see the chaos. You don't see me screaming at my children like I just spent the entire Easter weekend doing. It was horrible. I did come out and say it like, I'm not going to pretend. Happy Easter. It sucks today, Your vulnerability, man, I think if more people could be that way, if more truth could come out from human beings, not only do I think that the world, not to be cliched, but would be a better place, but I really think that we could connect better as humans. We could be more sensitive to each other's actual needs versus the needs that are here on a piece of paper that are supposed to blanket statement for everybody. So I appreciated your vulnerability, and I'm sure it wasn't easy.
No, I still feel kind of embarrassed. I mean, I like to, I like to be cute.
You
and
are cute.
That was not cute. That was really raw and all out there. And I just felt compelled, like, people need to see this piece because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't understand. And it doesn't mean that all autistics feel that way. Like, I'm just someone with a ton of empathy. And, it hits me hard, and then I'm still not recovered from that. I still think about that constantly, and I might not be recovered from that experience. And I still don't know how, I don't know how to fix that. And I think that's part of the story is some stuff isn't fixable.
One of the things that I can say from my experience, because I'm in a completely different realm as you guys, but like being a musician. So my days are like, my work day when I'm out on the road is literally most of the time around 90 minutes. That's my work day.
Oh.
And the rest of it is us hanging around, waiting to play.
Right.
Or whatever. And there's a lot of downtime for a lot of really, like, people don't see, they see us For the most part, I have this thing, and I work with quite a few people who do have this thing where we switch it on when we go on stage, and then when we're off stage, we're like, get away from me. Please just get away from me.
Oh, wow.
And I
That's
deal
so
with that.
interesting.
Yeah, I go completely introverted after a set, and people don't understand there's ups and downs.
Right.
You know, and it's really hard to talk to fans or whatever afterwards, because it's like, I don't want to talk about what just happened. I'm done. You know,
Right.
I used to explain.
Yes.
Well, the thing I would say was, like, for that 90 minutes, most of the time, that was the 90 minutes of the day that I don't have to think about anything.
Right. You're in the zone. You're playing. You're in your special, flow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like us when we're in our offices, our door is shut and we're either on the computer or you're like you were painting or whatever. It's our space. It's our headspace where we don't have to worry about anybody, anything. And that's what he's doing on stage. And then the moment the lights go down, then all of a sudden, all these people, can you imagine leaving your office and having, I don't know, 50 people at your door going, what'd you do? How'd you do it? I love that you did that. Oh, that paint stroke was awesome. Oh, good job.
Well, I've had it actually had it where we were supposed to only play for 45 minutes. I think we're done. No, we got to play for another 45 minutes.
Oh, God.
And that, I can tell you, those are probably the moments that it's actually the most difficult, because it's like, wait, I had no more energy to do that.
Right. I gave everything. I put it all out there. Where am I supposed to pull from now?
And that's the thing, like when it comes to like the autism stuff and all that, like what we're talking about here is that no one realizes the ups and downs that happen.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about that. No one talks about it. No one shows it.
Mm-hmm. It's that blanket statement I was talking about where, okay, Kaz is autistic, so we need to handle her in this box right here. Yeah. And if she comes out of that box, well, then she's full of shit. Yeah. She's not autistic because she doesn't fit into the box that we just put her in. And so that has got to, and that's what my students deal with.
So much.
Of course.
And
so much.
That's what you don't have a doctor who's going, well, I can tell you that you're not.
Right.
Well, it's because I don't fit into the box right now when I'm talking to you.
She thought she was relieving my mind because autism was such a terrible thing.
Yeah.
If she just told me I didn't have it, that I could go on my merry way and be happy.
That's the stigma that has to go away, honestly, is that it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Right. And vaccines cause it. That's where the source of the blowout you saw. That's
of course.
The trigger item.
Of course. So tell me, because of what I do for a living, the day that you actually wrote your post about how you didn't like Autism Speaks and you thought the puzzle piece was horrible and all that, I'd never thought about it that way, number one. So then I started having this immense guilt, but then not 10 minutes later, a coworker of mine approached me and said, hey, for April 2nd, we're all going to get these shirts. Do you want to order one? And I kind of sat there like, am I being mean? Like, I really wanted to sit there and kind of, I don't know, so much of me was like, I need to call Kaz. I need to double check how you feel. Because
I won't answer phone call, but you can text me.
I know. But I have my cousin is autistic. And so I kind of wanted I wanted to call her too and kind of go, no one has ever asked you, epilepsy, we've got Purple Day, and that is a big deal and we love it. But my son doesn't. He's okay with it, right. But it's not his big deal. It was when he was a kid, because how cool, everyone's dressing up for me. But as he's gotten older, he's 13 now, and he's just like, Purple Day came and went already. And I was like, do you want to dress up? Do you want us to take a picture? And he's like, it's not my thing. So what has brought you to really not liking it?
Well, that group in particular, it's not run by autistic people.
Mm-hmm.
Their money does not go towards autistic people. They support therapies that, like electroshock therapy, people in the group with the whole bleaching thing that I don't even want to read up on. You just have to do your homework, because there are quote unquote charitable organizations that are using things like autism to make money off of them at the harm of the people that they're supposed to be helping.
Yes.
So there are other great groups out there. And we're saying go red or gold for autism, and just find groups that are run or, really supported by the communities that they preach to be wanting to help. So you just have to do your homework, because just because something has traction or, you know,
Right.
big company
Popularity.
popularity doesn't mean that it's a good group and you want to, you know, so I would say it's two different things. Yes, the autism community wants the support and understanding of the general public. So if you're doing it from the spirit of, I just want to show my support, most of us can understand that. But we would like the opportunity to teach you more about the organizations behind those you know, calls to wear the blue and the puzzle piece and all that kind of stuff. We would like the opportunity to give you more information about that so you can make a more educated decision about what groups you are going to support and give money to, just so it gets to the people that you really care about. So that's just an education situation. And you know, I have friends that have puzzle pieces tattooed on their body. And I'm not going to say like, oh, you're an asshole. No, you did that because you genuinely cared about people in your life that had autism and you wanted to show support. So good for you for getting that. My personal feeling about that symbol in general is I'm not broken, missing anything. I'm not like a part of something that isn't complete. I'm complete. I'm just different. So we use the infinity symbol.
I like
so just,
that.
There's other symbols in iconography, and you know, there's other ways of supporting it that the autism community actually supports, and that's just education.
I like that. I think that's a lot more of a grounded response that I was expecting, because I was honestly expecting you to fly off the handle. But I do. See, I do. When I feel that's part of my INFJ situation where I'm like, wait a second, there's no justice here.
Oh yeah,
get that justice. Well, I get upset.
Yeah, right. Well, and I appreciate that. I mean, like advocacy, I'm so averse to confrontation, but there are stuff. So my thing is like standing up for other people that are the underdogs. Like I have gotten physically beat up for standing up for someone who is being bullied on more than one occasion. So there's things I will go to bat for. But generally speaking, you know, even just posting about, like, if you, because I'm in the spiritual community and there's a lot of crazy stuff over there too. So, you know, after this thing happened, I just said on Facebook, if you believe that autism is caused by vaccines, I would like the opportunity to change your mind. So I thought, if I go on there and say, you know, get off my page, I'm going to block you, like, just unfriend me now, then I don't have the opportunity to change anybody's mind. I don't have the opportunity as an educator to help people understand things differently. So, you know, I try and do that, but there is a boundary. There's some people that are really, they're going to be stuck in their ways. They're unteachable, and really don't waste more energy and time with those people.
And they are online way too much.
Words right now, everybody's all keyed up and freaking out.
I really don't feel like I can pee without somebody online knowing about it. And I'm to the place right this moment where I'm like, either you, I don't know, start, you know, paying attention to every single thing I'm doing, and I mean every single thing, and you call me on it, or leave me alone. So either way.
Well, Kez, I have a question about your children. How important do you find it to be like 100% truthful with them about everything that goes on, your struggles and everything? And like, how does your communication work when you're away? Like doing either tours or, you know, signings or whatever, anything that you're involved in. How does communication work, and how do you find being 100% truthful about everything while you're on the road or whatever works for them?
You mean all my affairs? I'm not having affairs. What do you mean by truthful? Like, as far as
well, dealing with autism, number one, dealing with
any of your struggles,
any struggle that you deal with, even creatively, that's not gonna work. Oh, the wine has hit everyone. No, but you know, like, for me, when I was struggling with a manuscript, it was really important for me to say, Mommy's not mad at you. Mommy's mad at herself because she can't figure out if she wants to use the word the or there. So Have you dealt with it?
I think that's good advice. That's well said for anything, to let the kids know, like, I'm upset right now, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. That doesn't change how I love you. I'm just going to need a little more space right now. And I'll let my kids know, like, as far as the autism, a meltdown is not just me crying in my office. A meltdown can be me punching a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of gauge when that's coming. And when my kids were littler, it was harder because that's just so much energy and intensity. So I would just let them know, and they got to know it. I'm like, Mommy the Hulk is going to come out. And I need you to, for my safety and for your safety, and I would never touch my kids. Right. But for your safety and my safety, we need some time apart, or you need to find a way to be quiet right now, because I'm not doing well, and I can feel the angry mom coming out, and none of us like the angry mom. Yep. So, I do think there is that communication, but there's a way of putting it in a language that a kid can understand, and they understood Mommy the Hulk, like, right away.
Yeah. Yes.
That.
Yes.
But I mean, you just gauge where your kid's at as far as maturity level. Like, I want to have honest communication with them, but I also know some things are adult, and I can let them know in their terminology to say, Mommy's feeling really stressed out about this because the trip coming up, and sometimes I get stressed out about planning or going out of my comfort zone, and I just need a little space right now. Can you go build a Lego something,
Yes. Yes.
So but me being open about my autism, I've tried, once I processed it a little bit. I didn't tell my husband for a while either. I just had to process it for myself and be sure, and kind of have some like grounding and understanding in it before I told him about it. And also, like, we would just have discussions at the kitchen table, and of course the kids are absorbing and listening to all of that. And the interesting thing that's come from that, because even as my husband and I were talking, we were like, Finley, and reading up on autism. And just one day, Finley looked at me and he said, Mom, am I autistic? And I'm like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And he listed off a number of things that made him think that he was autistic. And then he was like, and I think it's pretty cool.
Nice.
So I think having that kind of, transparency to a degree is positive. They're going to grow up to be adults. They should know what it's like to be an adult. They should, I'm not hiding
great.
from them. So does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. And the other part is how do you feel your communication is like when you're away from home and stuff, if you're out by yourself? Not good.
Because she's drinking with Bethany.
Yeah, I'm physically drinking with Bethany. Don't bug me, kids. I'm looking at ghosts and
or even with your husband.
He is typically not with me, like at a conference or something. He did go with me to Comic-Con. We all did, and that was super fun, and I'm glad we did that. And we were planning to do that again this year, but we'll get there again. But typically he's not with me. It's just either a phone call or a text or something throughout the day. And they're pretty self-sufficient. Like, I think they enjoy having a little bit of space for me. I am kind of controlling of space, so for them to not have me in the house for a few days is probably really great for them too, because they can leave stuff out and they can cook whatever they want, and be as noisy as they want and play music and all the kind of things that I kind of like. So, but when I'm out at a conference or something, like, I miss them, but I'm also really enjoying where I'm at and being an adult with friends that I don't see that often, and I'm having a great time, and I'm checking in with them, but it's not like, and they're older too, and they're not that needy, they miss me, but they're not that needy. So it's not hard. How is that for you as far as being on the road and communication? And
I'm constantly talking to Bethany. Because the thing is for the most part, like I said, my work day is 90 minutes a lot of time. Sometimes, like if we're playing at a bar, we play 3 45-minute sets or something like that. And then there's a bunch of time in between. And every time I'm between a set, I'm calling her, because usually I'm in a group that's been around for a very long time. They're going on, we're already at a quarter of a century.
Wow!
And this is the 26th year. I've only been with them for 7 years.
Wow! But they are established.
Yeah.
Yes.
You were established. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things though that we all give each other personal space, but we're all in a small van together most of the time.
Right.
But we never no one really talks and stuff. So like I also came from a situation where I wasn't allowed to talk about any of that either.
Oh.
So it's been a really interesting transition, because when I met Bethany, that completely changed. And we actually talked to someone who said, he was in a band that they felt the same way when he was with his now wife, that they're like, well, you need to make a decision between us or her or whatever kind of thing. It's like, because well, it's because all of a sudden this person has a place they want to go to.
Oh.
It's cool when you're a band of brothers, pirates across the sea, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's funny because like it's ups and downs, and I also deal with a lot of people because the band's been around so long that we have a lot of people who aren't there every week and all that. So we got fill-in players and stuff and all that we deal with as well. So it's like you got members changing too, so personalities change too, and all that. So
dynamic and
and that's why I find having communication with Bethany has been the biggest help for me getting through those times. It also makes it hard.
Yeah.
It also makes it really hard.
Miss her.
Just because I miss being home.
Of course.
So.
And he's very good with the kids, though. He's very good with the kids. If they want to talk to him, if they want to call him, if they want to text him, he doesn't let them go on for hours and hours thinking that he's ignoring them. He'll send selfies from stage, and he'll do little videos for them.
I live stream so that they can watch it.
He live streams, so it's different. But he's also in the minority, because a lot of musicians are like, "Hey, we're on the road. Home doesn't exist."
Yeah.
I mean, all of us are. I certainly would be that way out at writers' conferences. It was like sweet. Of course, my situation was different back then.
3-4 days or something, but
right, but he's gone for weeks at a time sometimes, and so it's different. Well, what we like to do is we ask 3 questions, and this is how we end things. But we ask 3 questions, and 2 of them are hard questions. One of them is extra hard. Yes, so prepare yourself.
A little more to drink.
Prepare thyself.
Yes, take your drink. Okay, so when you look inward and you think about yourself, how do you feel loved?
Oh God, that is a hard question. They get harder from here?
Maybe they do.
I mean, I can spell it out as far as love languages, but I think for me, feeling loved is a sense of acceptance. Like, I can be weird and I can make mistakes and I can say stupid stuff. And I'm still, if I still have that, if I still feel like I'm loved. I mean, I think of my grandma Lynn, my father's mother. I think of her as unconditional love, because she would throw a empty Coke can at you, Diet Coke can at you. But you always knew you were loved, even when she was yelling at you for doing something. And I was pretty mischievous, but just feeling like, there wasn't anything that I could do that would, I'm going to cry, that would compromise the love that she had for me. I knew that was unconditional. So I think for me, that's what love feels like to me. Like, if it's not on the terms of like how what you're doing for me today, or how you're showing up, or if you're like put together and taking care of stuff, then I love you. It's like, oh, you're messy and I still love you. That's love.
Good. Okay. All right. And this one's a little harder. Are you happy?
I am. I feel happy.
That's fake. Not the fake happy. Truly deep down, when no one else is around.
Generally speaking, I am running a lot of joy. I mean, I cry a lot right now. It's just intense out in the world. But I'm feeling for people. I'm feeling for myself. I'm feeling for the world. I'm feeling for everything. But I have this core sense of peace and excitement, and also just being in a place now, 45, starting to do the parts of my career that I'd always dreamed of doing. That gives me, and having my creative vision seen in a physical way where it's making those kind of impacts, that is like, that has been my dream since I was a teeny tiny kid. So if I, go too far astray, I'm like, oh, I have a book coming out with Simon and Schuster, and it doesn't suck that much. I have an agent who loves my stuff and wants more stuff,
Right.
and is like opening doors for me. Like, these are the things. Like, I can have a lot of joy, and I have a family that I love, and I have a lot of stuff to be grateful about. So, I do have this core piece of am I happy? I can solidly say yes to that.
Good.
All right. Here comes the last question. And we said that there were 2 hard ones and then one was.
Yes, I think you're hot.
Yes.
Yes, there we go.
Both of you. I mean,
That's what it was.
For both of you.
Okay.
You got him to blush. That's all I wanted.
We've found that this is the most controversial of all of them because every person's had a different answer. What is your perfect pizza?
Oh, perfect pizza. I make a very, very, very good pizza. It's called Mommy Pizza around my house. So it's a thicker crust pizza. I like all pizza, but this is a thicker crust pizza, homemade dough. I use the fast dough. Great recipe just on the back of the yeast packet. Seriously, it's super good. And I like a veggie pizza. A tomato and onion is great. I actually eat a lot of broccoli on pizza. Don't hate me.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
I
veggie.
love her so much.
Veggie pizza. If I order one from a place and no one cares, I'm gonna say I want all the vegetables, all of them, and I'll put the spicy stuff on there too. Like, I like all those things. And olives. Yeah, I like all that. But does that answer the question?
Yes.
That answers the question.
And you're
There we
still
go.
hot.
Yes.
Well, I will have to say her answer has been different than everyone else's answer.
It has.
So
Really?
there's that.
Yes.
That's a great question.
It's fun because people think we're gonna ask, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah.
And that's not what's controversial. Actually, everyone has a different idea of what's perfect. And what's funny to us is that people will share pizza all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No one necessarily is selfish enough to get their own perfect pizza unless they're right. No one says no, but no one does it for themselves. So if you take a moment and just be selfish for just a second, what is your perfect pizza? I'm just saying, everyone's different.
But it's like a pretty delicious compromise.
It is. No.
I mean, you guys already know this, but you were meant to be with each other. 100%,
Yeah.
100 millionth percent. I saw it the first time I saw that. I was like, oh, that's a done deal. And all the hardship that you guys had leading up, I'm gonna cry. All the hardship you had leading up to this.
Yeah.
We're very,
we don't take it for granted.
No.
I'll put it to you that way. We don't,
I
we
think
know,
that's the reason why our communication is so.
we both came from really horrific places. And so to be able to kind of sit here and go, okay, so what has worked for us? And I guess this adventure of ours has been, I wouldn't say it's a selfish adventure. I'm curious about the human race so much. And so finding out kind of how everybody operates and letting everybody's wall come down a little bit has just been such an interesting ordeal. So
I'm so glad you guys are doing this. It's so fun.
And my day has been made. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And
super happy to have had the opportunity to see your guys' faces and talk. And this was super fun. Thank you so much.
One thing is I gotta ask you is where can people find you on like the internet and stuff?
I'm all over the interwebs. Facebook is kind of my main hub, and you look for Kaz Witness, you're gonna find me. I'm all over the internet. All over the place.
She's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere.
Thanks, Kaz.
Well, thank you so much.
So awesome talking to you finally. Thank you.
All right. Well, have a great evening.
You too.